Okay, so today we're going deep on Neem Karoli Baba, Maharaj-ji,
Right.
and using this fascinating text that we are given, pasted text, to try to figure out, you know, how this guy born Lakshmi Narayan Sharma
Yeah.
in a small town in India in 1900 and
Really small town. Yeah.
to become, this huge spiritual figure, especially in the West. I mean, how did that happen?
I think what's so interesting is that his early life, there's not a lot of concrete details. It's kind of shrouded in myth and folklore.
Right.
But one thing that comes up over and over is his deep connection to nature,
Yeah.
like from a very young age.
Just like always meditating.
Yeah. And very private, too. Like he didn't want a lot of attention drawn to himself.
Yeah, it seems like that was kind of a theme throughout his life. But
Yeah.
then, the sources point to this moment of initiation into bhakti yoga,
Right.
which is the path of devotion.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that was really a turning point, where he really started to focus on the divine.
Like renouncing worldly things and really dedicating himself to that path.
And there are all these stories about his compassion.
Yes.
And even, some instances of healing and stuff.
The beauty of bhakti yoga is it's so direct.
Yeah.
It's all about the heart connection to the divine. And his renunciation wasn't about rejecting the world, It was about redirecting his energy.
Yeah.
And all those stories about his compassion, that's his inner transformation, like manifesting externally.
And then this is where things get really interesting. He spends a lot of time in the Himalayan foothills,
Yeah.
particularly around Kinchi,
Right.
where he establishes an ashram.
Yeah.
But what's really cool is he just welcomes everyone.
It didn't matter who you were.
Yeah, like no matter your background.
Where you came from, what you believed.
Yeah, and his teachings weren't like, these big theological arguments or anything. They were all about like love, compassion, and selfless service,
Yeah.
surrendering to the divine, seeing the divine in everyone.
It's so powerful.
It's a really unifying message.
Yeah, and that's why so many people were drawn to him.
Mhm.
If it wasn't about dogma or anything,
Yeah.
it was about cultivating these inner qualities. And if you see the divine in everyone, well, you can't help but feel empathy and connection,
Right. And it's interesting how this all ties into his rise to prominence in the West in the 1960s and 70s.
Right.
I mean, this was like peak spiritual seeking in the West.
It was a huge countercultural movement.
Yeah, and he becomes like this central figure for a lot of Westerners.
Yeah.
And of course, Ram Dass was really instrumental in this.
Yeah, is his book Be Here Now, sharing his own experiences and bringing Maharaj-ji's teachings to a wider audience.
It really tapped into this longing for something more, something beyond materialism.
Yeah, and people could really relate to Ram Dass's own spiritual journey, So it made it easier for them to understand and connect with Neem Karoli Baba's teachings.
And so let's talk about those teachings. Like, what are the key takeaways here?
Yeah.
I mean, love and compassion obviously were huge, right? Not just as ideas, but as like a way of life.
Absolutely.
And surrender,
Yeah, that's a big one.
which can be hard to wrap your head around.
Yeah. It's about letting go of your ego,
Yeah.
trusting in a higher power,
And then Siva.
right? Selfless service, putting those principles into action.
Yeah. And the unity of all religions, too.
Yeah.
That was a big thing for him, that all these paths lead to the same truth.
Exactly.
Encouraging respect for all faiths.
And what's so amazing is how simple and universal those teachings are.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what your background is, what religion you are, they resonate with everyone.
Yeah.
And Siva, it's like gives you a tangible way to embody those spiritual principles.
Now, he passed away in 1973.
Yeah.
But his legacy is still going strong.
Absolutely.
The ashrams are still places of learning and community.
People all over the world still follow his teachings.
Yeah, he's this symbol of unconditional love and compassion that really transcends cultural and religious boundaries.
And his teachings are so relevant today, in a world that's often so divided. His emphasis on love and unity is more important than ever.
So looking at the life of Neem Karoli Baba, what really stands out is this transformative power of love and devotion.
Yeah, putting it into action, not just talking about it.
Exactly.
And he encourages all of us to look inward, to cultivate those qualities for ourselves.
It's a really simple but profound message.
Yeah.
So to leave you with something to think about, how can you apply those principles in your own life?
Yeah, love, compassion, selfless service.
Regardless of your beliefs or background. Thanks for diving deep with us.
Yeah, thanks for listening.